Hello and welcome to TradeFlow Television,
bringing you valuable analysis and actionable intelligence
through the global commodity markets.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets. The Sovecon agriculture consultancy said on Monday that it had downgraded its estimate for Russia's 2020-21 wheat exports to 36.3 million tons from a previously expected 40.8 million tons due to an upcoming wheat export tax. Russia, one of the world's largest wheat exporters, is trying to stabilize food prices with a grain export quota and a wheat export tax from February 15 to June 30. Sovecon, one of the leading agriculture consultancies in Moscow, said that some farmers are expected to delay sales of their wheat until July 2021 when the new season starts and the export tax is no longer in place.
Chinese imports of U.S. soybeans in November more than doubled from the previous year, customs data showed on Friday, as cargoes booked following a Phase 1 trade deal between the United States and China arrived in the country. The world's top buyer of soybeans brought in 6.04 million tons of the oilseed from the United States in November, up 136% from 2.56 million tons a year ago, data from the General Administration of Customs showed. Chinese buyers stepped up purchases of U.S. farm products earlier this year, partly to fulfill commitments made in the January deal aimed at tempering a trade war between the world's two largest economies.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
China has raised quotas for refined fuel export volumes by 5.4% year-on-year in its first batch of 2021 to 7 firms, including a private refiner, according to a state-run energy exchanges blog and one of the recipient companies. The country's quota for the first issue of 2021 totaled 29.5 million tons, compared to 27.99 million tons in the first issue of the year-ago period. Beijing normally issues 3 or more batches of quotas for fuel exports during a year. For 2020, a total of nearly 59 million tons of quotas were issued.
Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak said on Monday he expected there would be 5 to 6 million barrels per day in next year additional oil demand, which has not fully recovered from the pandemic. We expect around 5 to 6 million barrels per day in additional demand growth for next year. This is an optimistic scenario, Novak told ROSSIYA 24 TV channel. He said that global oil demand is still up to 8 million barrels of oil per day below the pre-pandemic levels, when it normally was around 100 million barrels of oil per day. Moving on to metal price moves. Gold prices pared gains on Monday as the dollar recovered losses and stock markets rallied after U.S. President Donald Trump signed a long-awaited pandemic aid bill, while liquidity remained low on account of the holiday season. Spot gold was little changed at $1,877.20 per ounce by 13:01 GMT, having earlier risen as high as $1,900.04 an ounce. U.S. gold futures GCV1 were down 0.2% to $1,878.70. I think you're seeing some profit taking coming into the end of the year, said independent analyst Robin Barr.
Malaysia has imposed provisional duties on certain cold-rolled stainless steel imports from Indonesia and Vietnam, pending the conclusion of an anti-dumping investigation, its Ministry of International Trade and Industry said on Monday. A preliminary probe, conducted on behalf of the sole Malaysian producer of the product, found sufficient evidence warranting further investigation into the importation of cold-rolled stainless steel in coils, sheets or any other form, it said. The government therefore has decided to impose a provisional measure, which shall be in the form of provisional anti-dumping duties guaranteed by a security, the ministry said. Moving on to the top news in the Agri sector. Indonesia has raised the crude palm oil (CPO) reference price and export levy for January, an official document on its trade ministry website showed on Monday. The reference price of crude palm oil will be raised to $951.86 per ton in January from $870.77 in December, while export tax collected from CPO will be raised to $74 from $33 per ton previously. Export levies from CPO will also be raised to $225 in January from $180 per ton previously. Finally, we have the most recent news on the financial market.
Outsized bets on large U.S. technology companies and emerging cryptocurrencies fueled the year's top-performing U.S. mutual fund and exchange-traded funds as the coronavirus pandemic upended global markets, while funds that bet on oil and gas companies fell nearly 100%, according to data from fund tracker Morningstar. The year was a challenge like few others for the $21.3 trillion mutual fund and $4.4 trillion ETF industry. U.S. stocks plunged in March before staging a more than 60% comeback, while bond yields hung near record lows for much of the year after unprecedented moves by the Federal Reserve to backstop the financial markets and keep interest rates low. That is all for today's news on the commodity market. Stay tuned to TradeFlow TV as we continue to provide you with more updates. You can also follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow TV1, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop.